I'm not special. I'm not even that smart. Like, I didn't even graduate high school. So, like, I just stuck at it. Every successful trader is just a trader who didn't quit. And if I see one more person on TikTok just dancing, being like, I'm a day trader, I made $10,000, I'm like, you didn't. It was not even a real trade.
How do you get someone to give you money?
Yeah, they will give you millions and millions. You can get up to like hundreds of millions of dollars under management. So I'm just very aware that this industry gets very confusing very quickly. And I don't care what you call yourself, all we do is trade patterns. Like, it is actually, that's what it is. And that riles people up, I know. I'd say you need to be not afraid of taking risks. That saying, like, take the risk or lose the chance is an incredibly, like, driving force behind, like, my motto and the way I live.
Some of the pairs I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, could we get into those? Like,
yeah, sure.
Your strategy and the pairs that you trade?
You need to be really clear on what your why is, why you're doing it. And if it's not strong enough, you will quit. Grew up from humble beginnings, like my parents. My dad's a rubbish truck driver. Like, I didn't grow up with money at all. So I'm going to make us millionaires, this is it. And I dived in and then lost money for 3 years. Are you actually a trader if you didn't lose in the beginning?
Welcome to today's episode of Big Wick Energy Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of day trading and financial mastery. I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest today, a true powerhouse in the trading community. She's not only an expert day trader with years of experience navigating the markets, but also a passionate educator dedicated to empowering others with the knowledge and skills to succeed in this dynamic field. Get ready for a jam-packed episode with the incredible Chanelle Helle-Nielsen.
Tell me what you want. What you really want. I wanna be down.
So pretty much, like, can you share a bit about your whole trading journey and what got you interested in day trading and your whole journey, I guess, to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. Well, probably as where most people started. I was scrolling Instagram and this dude, maybe 5 years older than me, Aussie guy, shows up and he's taking his Lamborghini out to brunch in his pajamas, and I was like, oh, that's a bit of me. Know nothing about cars. I was actually more happy about the brunch and the PJs, but yeah. I thought, I want that. That's my life. That's 100%. At the time, I was like in a soul-sucking corporate job, like hitting my head against a wall. Realised I'd been sold the lie, leave school, go get this fancy job in Auckland, where, I just hated it. Everyone was miserable. I thought, no, okay, I'm going to try this. So I saved up everything I owned, which was $500 to buy his course. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm making us. I'm going to make us millionaires. This is it. And I dived in and then lost money for 3 years, and it was just brutal. But I feel like that's kind of the trader journey, isn't it? Like, are you actually a trader if you didn't lose in the beginning? I don't know, probably not. But yeah, he had that guy. He doesn't teach trading anymore at all. He has another whole thing, but that completely changed the whole projection, the whole like course of my life, just seeing him and learning from him, and and from there it was classic support and resistance, classic candlestick formations and patterns, and I never really made much, and then I just kind of like went out and tried different stuff, signed up to a bunch of different courses, learned from people way smarter than me. I think that's been like probably the best thing about my journey, is I always learnt from other people. I always recognised people were ahead of where I wanted to go, and I learnt from them. And I think I was pretty lucky. I always learnt from people who taught well, proper risk management, using, stop losses and, not betting the house and just being kind of, smart. So I never had any like full blunders of like blowing up massive accounts or anything like that. And, So maybe not you, but.
Yeah, we've had some struggles with that. But that's cool, yeah. And I feel like everyone starts their day trading journey there, watching someone on social media. That was the same thing. I was watching someone. Not that I watched someone getting into a Lambo and stuff, but once I got into it, it was, what's that guy's name? Mumbo FX?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, same reaction for a lot of people, I say that too. And yeah, he's the classic,
the purple Lambo,
Yeah. So that's cool. And talking about, when you're first starting to get into it, you bought that course from the guy. Would you say that that was, obviously being your first course, it's usually the way that people go, and it's not the one that sort of helps you get to where you are.
I think in the beginning I was so green that it was too confusing for me. Like the strategy itself worked, and I know a lot of people made money doing it, but it was very like swing trading approach, and I just had no idea. Like I was just not. I think if I did it again now and traded that way, I'd be fine. But like in the beginning, I was just. It blew my mind. Like it just the whole system. I think more than anything, what he taught was like psychology, the understanding of greed and fear, and being at like a 50% equilibrium and not letting your emotions kind of like go up and down too much. And that he taught me. And then he also taught me about financial freedom being a two-pronged approach. First off, like having your trading is actually just like to replace your income and give you cash flow, and then how to funnel all of that into a vehicle that will eventually give you freedom completely from no trading, because trading is active. We're not, we actually have to shop the charts and do something. It's not passive as much as some people think it is. It's not passive income. So like the whole financial freedom 1, financial freedom 2, and he kind of inspired that whole, and it completely shifted my mindset because I grew up from humble beginnings. Like my dad's a rubbish truck driver. Like I didn't grow up with money at all. And just that this was even just an option, it just sparked me off on this journey. I was like, yep. And I was obsessed.
Nice.
Terribly
you get
obsessed.
Like that. It's an obsession when it comes to day trading.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you had like 3 years of learning.
Yeah, losing.
How long have you been trading for now?
So I've been trading 8 years now. So the first 3 years, were definite losing. Probably towards the end of the 3 years, it started getting break evens.
Right.
And then I don't want to say it like clicked, but it just made sense. I realized what I was doing wrong. I realized that I was definitely over trading in certain areas. I wasn't letting the probabilities play out, and I as soon as I detached from the money and stopped caring about the financial number fluctuating and just focused on the percentage gains, that's when my whole trading fixed itself pretty much.
So that was the moment.
Yeah. Detaching from the money, which is super hard.
Yeah.
And if you grow up with no money and then you see this money, it's very easy to say now, 8 years on the journey, just detach from the money. It's hard. You see that going up and you're like, well, that's my yearly salary,
Yeah, I think that's a thing for like anyone that's starting to get into trading.
Yeah.
Everyone's just focusing on the profits and forgetting about the process.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. So what was the process that you went through to help you become, successful?
Like looking back, I can see exactly where I went wrong. And that's why I feel like now I can see how the roadmap should be done, and I didn't do that at all. And that's coming from someone who had great mentors, like smart people who told me this is a pothole, and I still went into the pothole. Like I put my hand on the fire at every possible moment, and they told me it was going to happen, and I thought, I'm too smart. So my ego was too big. I was like, I know better, and I did the exact thing that they said that I was going to do. So for me, I think it was just about, like, I just had to be punched in the face enough times to learn. Like, I got sick of my own shit eventually, and like, the pain of losing, like something had to change. But I think that is for some people, you're just not going to learn from others. You're just going to have to, you're just going to have to wear it and get back up. But I think the thing was having realistic expectation of what I actually wanted out of trading. Because in the beginning, it was very exciting. You're like, I'm going to quit my job, screw the 9 to 5, break out of the matrix, make all this money. And then you realize very quickly, like, it's a steep learning curve, and there's a reason why 90% of traders fail, and then like even more if you're a prop trader. And then it just, as soon as you kind of like step back and expand the horizon, we're like, okay, I'm actually just trying to let the math of the probabilities of my strategy play out. Like, pull yourself away and look at it from, even if I'm only right 40% of the time, but I hit 2 to 1s, only 2 to 1s, I still make money. And it's just the full understanding that it's just a math equation and it's nothing more than that.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, hearing your journey is very, very similar to mine, and I guess for most real traders, they go through that whole journey too, jumping different courses, having huge losses right at the start because it's just something that happens as a trader. Getting into I guess, you know, going from the start and getting to the point where you are now, was there, you know, talking about the whole math equation and risk management stuff, was there like anything in there that helped you, I guess, take away from the losing part to get to the profitable part?
Yeah, I think, quite honestly, my ego was definitely the problem, thinking that I needed to be right in every single trade. And then when I was wrong, the feeling to revenge trade because I wasn't comfortable with the loss and accepting the loss. And that was probably the trickiest part for me, is like really being like, okay, you actually don't know it all. Like, you don't know what the market's going to do. All you're doing is reacting to what you see. And that's when I think social media was also probably a bad thing at one point for me, because you'd see other people's trades and you're like, well, why wasn't I in on that? And then people who give you the high, like that actually, I'm in this trade now, and you like quickly jump in and it's completely nothing to do with your strategy whatsoever. And you're like, oh, I'll catch a cheeky gold trade. I don't trade gold at all, but you saw someone else post it, and so I kind of like I did every single mistake wrong that you hear about, and it's just because I just let my ego take control and not just like pull myself out. It's like, okay, if this can actually be a career that could take me out of my job, it can give me financial freedom, could change my family's life, why am I not taking it seriously? Why am I not taking my trades and journaling them so I can review them? And the biggest thing I learned from that was that I actually needed to journal how I was feeling beforehand, before the session, before the trade, because I realised most of my losers, when I'd really act stupid, revenge trade, all that kind of stuff, was when I was feeling quite bad. Like maybe I had a really bad sleep, maybe it was a terrible day at work, or I was just feeling really annoyed and grumpy. I ended up letting that emotion feed in, and that my mindset, the negativity fed into how I traded. And so as soon as I start like recording, I'm actually a 3 out of 10 today, like rubbish. It might not be the day for me to necessarily trade. Like the lower down the scale I got, if I got too far down, I just wouldn't trade. But I knew the higher up I got, I'm not really good today. Like I'm positive, I'm optimistic, I feel calm, I feel collected, I'm happy to go for it. And that only came as a realization from collecting enough data. So that's my whole thing. It's just so much data.
Nice. I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
I try to collect as much data as I can.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch on, so you were talking about this is like you were working towards this because you thought it was going to be something to give your family financial freedom. Was that the drive for you to push through 3 years of losing? It's a long time,
it's a long time.
Like,
yeah.
And most traders are just, they're in it for a bit and then they're out.
I think initially it's because I didn't want to be wrong. Right. And I had made it very public to my corporate office people that I was now with a trader, and like, bye guys, soon I'll be gone. And then it took 3 years and everyone's like, this, I don't know what's going on. Initially, I think I was just didn't want to be wrong, and I wanted to crack it. Like I have that kind of obsessive, like if I get something, I need to figure out how it works. And so I think initially it was that, and then kind of midway through that 3 years, you'd have those really big green days in amongst the sea of red, and you could see the potential. You'd say you'd make your month's salary in a day, and you'd be like, okay, there's something here, and there's just the small wins that you could do. Like the best one of the best feelings I've ever had was I bought my nana sits in a chair. She doesn't move. She's old. And I bought her one of those smart TVs and got her Netflix, which was, not that much money in the bigger scheme of things, but it's revolutionised her life. Like, she's like, can't believe it's a thing she could watch TV. And so, like, those, like, moments like that, it absolutely was a driving force. I was like, right, nah. Imagine what I can do on a larger scale if, I get that much satisfaction out of giving her Netflix.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Hey, shout out Nan.
Yeah, shout out Nan.
What would your advice be for someone who's in that struggle right now and they're trying to push through?
You need to be really clear on what your why is, why you're doing it. And if it's not strong enough, you will quit. So you need to have the initial of me just wanting to be right wasn't enough, and it needed to evolve into helping. And it's usually becomes because you want to help others, you want to help your family, or you want to help things bigger than you. But your why needs to be super strong. And then you just need to look at it like if you were going to become a surgeon, you wouldn't expect to be let loose in the operating room after, a few months of med school. It takes 7 years, I don't know, maybe longer. I don't know, not a doctor. 7 years, and then, and that's what you expect. You just expect that you're going to be at med school. So you need to have the same kind of mindset for the trading, that not necessarily takes 7 years, but there's going to be the climb, there's going to be the uphill battle, the trial by fire, because it's almost like the universe is going to test you if you're ready. Are you ready for that? And I usually find that it's like right before you break through, you get the worst challenge, the hardest challenge. I always think about like a video game, it's like a boss fight before you progress to the next level. Like you're going to get the biggest boss fight of your life, and it's really going to test you out, and you're going to think, nah, I'm done, I can't do it, and then you crack it, and it's because you didn't give up. And it's just, honestly, it's about, it's perseverance. There's nothing to say that I'm not special, I'm not even that smart, I didn't even graduate high school, so I just stuck at it. Every successful trader is just a trader who didn't quit.
Nice, I love that. This is scary because hanging out with Hari, I feel like you're just the girl version of Hari, because everything that you've said is exactly what Hari's told me.
We didn't talk before. So.
Yeah. No, you sure? That's so good.
It is crazy. Like hearing everything that you're saying, I've been through all of that as well, and I feel like everyone that is going to be, I guess, a successful trader is going to be going through that. Your first mentor, like you touched on, he was helping you with like the whole psychology thing, and a lot of the beginners that are wanting to get into day trading, which is, pretty much the same audience that you and I have both been in New Zealand. A lot of them see, like the potential that can come from day trading, and then they come in and they're in for like maybe a month or two, doesn't work, and then, they're like, okay, this isn't for me. But hearing like your 3 years and then my whole, year and a half of, perseverance, what would you say to like beginners that are, wanting to give this a good go, but it's not working out in the, first couple of months?
Oh, like your time horizon's too small. It's not meant to work out in the first few months. Yeah. You need to think of it like you're in an apprenticeship almost. Like you're showing up and you're learning, especially if you're in an education, like you're learning from someone. And I think this is the best way to do it. And of course you can go out and get free stuff, but why not learn from someone who has done all of that already? And if you're learning from them and you know that I'm learning the way that they trade, and they trade for a living, so it's doable, it's possible. Like you've ticked the box that it can be done. And then they're saying, manage your risk, do all the things, journal the things, do all the things, back test, get your data. Then the only piece of the puzzle is your psychology. And I say only, but it's absolutely the biggest part. So that's what I'm saying. But it's kind of like the darkest night before the dawn. Like you will have to do it. You just have to go through that, and you have to find that part of yourself that's going to persevere at all costs, because you're getting a skill set where you can literally go anywhere in the world, open your phone, press a few buttons and make a ridiculous amount of money. Like it's not going to be easy. Yeah. It's not meant to be easy. Otherwise we'd all be doing it. Like it can be done though. And if you have to go into yourself though, and you have to really do the work, because everyone has some self-sabotaging tendency somewhere. I don't care what it is. Usually I find people have they're a FOMO or a JOMO. So you have a fear of missing out. So you take revenge trade, take too many trades, or you have JOMO, you have the joy of missing out, and then you have, you don't take any trades because you want perfection. So I think that you're either in one of those two camps where you don't take enough, or you take too many, and so you need to find out what that is for you and make sure that you're trading in a way that actually fits that, because not all strategies suit both types. You're not going to be a JOMO trader and be a scalper. Like, you might be better at a swing trading approach. So you got to actually understand what kind of where you are in the journey and who you are, and match your trading style to that too, because you might just be doing something that doesn't align with you and you're feeling really bad and like, I'm not going to make it. But it's like, well, if you don't like to take, you're a perfectionist, you don't like to take too many trades, maybe don't be scalping the 1 minute chart, just something to think about.
That's a great insight. I never thought about it like that. JOMO, I've never heard of JOMO.
I've never heard of JOMO.
I don't know. It might have just been off the cuff.
But it's actually a thing, like when you think about it, and people are like missing trades. And then they're happy about it. They're like, at least my analysis was right, sort of thing.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm heavy on that. Like, I hate missing trades, but also, like, if I miss a trade, you know, something else is going to pop up all the time.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a biggie.
I just want to touch on, you've just had a family. Like, how do you fit your trading, you know, lifestyle in with your personal life? Because, you know, the markets are open at ridiculous hours in New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a grind.
Move to GC.
Yeah.
Shh.
What's the workaround for you, or how do you fit it in?
Yeah. For me, I trade very specific sessions. So Asia session and London open, and only really the first 2 hours of London, including pre-London. So I'm at very specific times. And during Asia, during the day, I'll trade the 15-minute chart, so I have more time to get into entries. And then London, I'll trade the 5-minute, sometimes lower down, but only for like the first 2 hours, and then I'm done. I have an exact set time. I know if the entry happens after that, it's out of my session, out of my hands. I don't bother. Close the phone, be with my family, spend time with my family. Otherwise, you just get too obsessed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's about being really disciplined and having set
Just
sessions.
about to say that, like, you've, like, just listening about your journey from the start, you've just learnt discipline, and that's what's made you successful, so you just stick to that.
Yeah, you got to do something that works. I mean, we all have, a lot of people learning to have jobs, 9-to-5s, and they can't be watching the charts all the time. So having a really specific session where you know you trade means that you can collate all the data based on that session. So you're going to know, does it work or not, based on that session, and then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be feeling the anxiety of, am I missing a trade or something like that, and you can live your life. Because I think, honestly, trading is about, in the beginning, you're going to lose, and it's going to be tricky, and there's a journey, but it's about protecting the risk of ruin. So will you protect your own mental so you don't give up, and you protect your own bank account so you don't go broke? So there's like two aspects, and it's just protecting the risk of ruin to give you a long enough time to go through that learning process. So having, the sessions in the beginning is helpful, because people, I'm sure we've all been there, up at all hours, well, you guys still are, up at all hours of the night, I used to trade the hourly, and I'd be up 3 a.m, 3:30, and I'd be on the chart on the 10-second time frame checking my trade, and I'm like, I don't even, like, what, you're just watching every little tick go, and you're like, oh, it's going up, it's going down, it's going, it's unsustainable, burnout's just around the corner. So discipline, sessions, that's what I do.
Nice one. Can we get into, because we were chatting before about what you trade, and some of the pairs I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we get into those? Like,
yeah, sure.
Your strategy and the pairs that you trade?
I trade a pretty simple pattern. I'd just call it a pattern. It's an edge, that's it. I don't even call it a strategy, but it's finding liquidity pools, waiting for a sweep of the liquidity pool, and then getting an indication from the market that we're going to reverse. So I don't really follow trends. I'm just a reversal trader. And I trade Asia, the Japanese 225, so the Nikkei index, on the 15-minute, and Ethereum USD during Asia. I know, very weird, but they work. So, and then sometimes I scalp the Hong Kong 50, which is kind of like my favourite thing to do, but it's more, fun time. Yeah. It's good. And then I mostly trade indices now, like the DAX, the German 40, NAS 100, UK 100 during London. So, and I leave New York. Sorry.
Fair enough.
You don't like trading?
Get some sleep.
I would love to trade New York. And if I moved to the Gold Coast, I would probably trade New York.
Like the same pairs or different indices?
Different. I probably trade more US correlated during New York, probably.
Nice.
But keep the same. Like, I definitely split it out between sessions, so I'm not trading all of those all the time. It's very late. This works in Asia. Well, the Japanese index and the Hong Kong 50 are Asian markets, so they actually move, which is, it's hard to find stuff that moves during Asia, but and
that's crazy.
Your Ethereum actually moves during Asia too, so it's actually quite a good one as well.
How did you get into those pairs? Like, did you start off with those pairs, or?
No, I've just tested everything.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like hours of data collation.
Yeah.
I've tested everything under the sun. and I know what gives the best result. And it doesn't necessarily always mean that always will. So you can see the market moves on cycles. What was happening last year hasn't been as strong as this year. So having all of the data and being able to identify we're actually shifting. Great British Pound Yen worked beautifully for me last year. This year, not as good. So it's like it's a shift, but being able, like the strategy. Oh my God, sorry. The strategy stays the same. The theory behind it stays the same, but sometimes there's like little tweaks you need to make because we're in a moving market. Everything changes. Like we could drop out into a recession, full blown bear market recession tomorrow, and things are going to change. Maybe your strategy won't work through that, and you need to be able to be adaptable to find those tweaks. I think.
Yeah, nice. What pairs did you start on?
I think it was something crazy like EuroCAD.
Interesting.
Just like it wasn't a major. It was definitely off the cuff. But back then, you would trade all 28 of the mains, and you would do all your analysis for the week, and then you'd filter them down, and it would take like 7 hours just to like have some kind of insight. I just got rid of that. I recommend people only trade a couple pairs per session. Really focus on those.
Becoming the master of one pair or two pairs.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
So, like with indices, I see that a lot with NAS and US30, where it's taking liquidity and trading back down. Liquidity grabs. So, trading like those reversals, do you find because you trade indices so much, it happens more on those pairs compared to like your Forex and stuff?
It still happens. I just think it's cleaner, so you can get in with a tighter stop because it doesn't necessarily shake you out, go for another wick and then drop. Like I find the Forex pairs tend to have that a little bit more movement where you might need a bigger stop to keep you in, where the indices, like they reverse and then they just go. And that's just like also US oil is one I've been putting in lately too, and that has the exact same. It's very clean, takes liquidity, turns around, and I'm only trying to get a 2-to-1.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't like try and hold for longer?
I will trail. So if I get a big volume through where my 2 is, then I will trail it down. But I'm looking to initially start taking profit, moving stop losses, taking risk off the table at 2-to-1.
So that would be obviously sticking to your trading plan. Is there, like obviously like everyone in trading, they have their biggest day and biggest trade and stuff. Do you have like those sort of highlights in your...
Yeah, I don't think I've ever, like I saw you at a 250 day. Was it one trade?
It was one trade, just over 200K.
Yeah.
That was held for about 2-3 weeks.
Oh, 2-3 weeks. Yeah. I thought it was like a day.
No.
Like, damn, that's some gold movement right there. Yeah. No, I'd say I'm pretty consistent. I haven't had any major blow-ups, and I haven't had any major massive wins. My aim was always to just increase my capital. Right. So I figured early that if I could be consistent with my returns, I could then offer my services to people with a lot of money who would want to invest in me. And then they don't want to see these massive fluctuations. They actually get scared when you have these big, massive days because it ruins your nice, steady curve. And I realized that early on that if I could consistently just even beat something like the S&P 500, people would line up the door to give you money, and they do. They go. Everyone wants to give you money. And all you need to do is beat 8% a year to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean that was always my idea. Was all right if I could actually just keep it pretty consistent. I don't limit myself sometimes of really, really great months that are much more than my average, but if I could just keep it consistent and grow my capital to a large enough size, that would be just the same as having these like massive big win days. They don't sell as good on social media, I will give you that. No one cares about my consistency, but
when it's real money.
It's real money. And it's not, it's not prop money, it's real money, it's other people's money, and you have to take that in with a grain of salt as well, and be pretty disciplined and consistent with it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching like a YouTube video about hedge funds, and hedge funds, they actually don't like their equity curve to go, super steep. So they just want to keep like a balanced result because they don't want to get say they have like a 20% year. Then everyone's going to be expecting 20% years all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a book I read. It was the letters that Warren Buffett released to his initial investors of his fund. And it was always like, all we need to do is beat the S&P 500, beat the market. That's it. That's the only thing. And then he's averaged 20% returns for, forever. That's, kind of his kind of thing. And with trading, I mean, Forex and indices, 20% a year, like most people can do that. You probably don't even have to have a strategy, and you can probably do that with good risk management, just 50-50 guessing, to be honest. So, yeah, I always kind of thought long-term about it. I'll just increase my capital and then keep everything consistent.
Yeah, nice. Speaking about 50-50 guessing, what's your thoughts on news?
Hey listeners, we hope you're enjoying this episode of Big Wick Energy Podcast. We wanted to take a quick break to tell you about our exclusive Signals service. If you're looking to follow expert trades and gain insights from top traders, our Signals service is just what you need. We offer specialized channels for gold, indices and Forex, as well as analysis. You can join any channel for just $15 a week, but here's the best part. If you want all 4 of those channels, it is only $200 a month. Stay ahead of the market with our expert signals and analysis. The link is below in the description. Sign up now and start receiving expert trades from our desks straight to yours. Now let's get back to the episode.
Thoughts on news? Trading the news.
Oh, you see, I it's fun, but the way I think about it is I'm trying to teach people how to quit their job from trading, and most people need to leverage prop firms to do that. Most people don't have the capital to build it up, so they have to do the prop firm approach, which I think is a good approach in the beginning. And prop firms, as you know, don't like news trading. So yeah, I try to formulate a strategy that works within prop firm rules, which would be to not trade through news. So I mean, I'd say based on my data, for me, news is 50-50. Like, I don't take fundamentals into it. So some 50% I'm going to be on the right side, and it's beautiful. The other side, it's not, and your stop's not holding, your account's getting breached. So for people trading props, it's advisable to not trade through news.
Because I think most props is like you're not allowed to trade within 10 minutes of news, something like that, right?
Yeah, you can't open the position it's 5 to 8 minutes either side.
Right.
But that also means your stop can't get hit, your profit can't get hit, and then they just wipe all the profit. And only if you're opening a position 5 hours beforehand do you get to keep the profit. So there's no upside to trading news with props at all.
So for yourself, would you say that you trade more props or live?
I live, but I started trading before props, so they weren't a thing. Yeah. So it was like, build up your tiny $100 account, like saving all the money you have, to having enough track record where you can go out and say, this is what I can do. And then I went the investor capital route of actual people, real live money, and giving me to trade. And then after that, prop firms sprouted up, FTMO, the 30-day to pass. So even I struggled in the early days of that, because it was like 30 days to hit 8%, just kind of gets in your head. But now, you've got unlimited time, so definitely have been slowly increasing more with props, and that's what I'd recommend early. Not many people have 100K lying around to just trade, and you can buy a prop for, 800 New Zealand dollars. That's all you need to put on the line. I think it teaches you good risk management.
Yeah, it's crazy. Prop firms, I was the same. Like, I never started with live account. Got into prop firms probably only like last year. I didn't like it at all.
That's a lot of rules, eh?
Yeah. I don't feel like it was proper market conditions that you could be trading.
That's not, yeah.
And so I sort of just steered clear. But you're right, with beginners, it is something that they can use to increase their capital, make profits from, and then start trading live accounts.
Yeah.
Is there, like, obviously a lot of the videos you talk about is like with prop firms. Is there a prop firm that you recommend?
Oh no, I try to stay clear of that.
Great answer. Great answer.
I just talk about the ones I do have. just personal experience. I'm not necessarily recommend them, but I trade with Funny Pips, Alpha Capital, and FTMO mostly. But it's the Wild West. You really do have to be you do have to do your due diligence on who you pick. And I recommend diversifying. Like, don't necessarily go full max funding with one firm. Like, spread your eggs, put them all in different baskets, because if one goes under, which they do, then you're backed up. I think the holy trinity is using props to bring in cash flow that you then diversify into a personal account, whilst at the same time building your track record for investor capital. And then you have all three, and it's like, I think that's the way to do it if you want to do it for the long run successfully. Yeah.
How do you build that track record up for investor capital? Like, how do you get someone to give you money? Yeah,
back when I started, it was very much just having, you have your MyFX book plugged in, and you have a verified record over a period of time. Now though, there's like far better options. Like one I use and I love is Darwin X Zero. Have you guys heard of that? Darwin X is so good. So you pay like 38 euros a month, I think, and they you get a 100k account and you trade it. I just chuck it on the back of a trade copy. I just forget about it, and you just trade normally, and it builds up your data and it goes through its risk engine, and then over enough period of time they have access to people with money. They're a hedge fund themselves, so it's kind of like the prerequisite, and then they will give you millions and millions. You can get up to like hundreds of millions of dollars under management. So it's definitely good. Like £38 a month, you build your track record. Don't even think about it. Just put it on the back of a trade copier, and over a year you can be scaling pretty good.
Darwin X
Zero.
Darwin X Zero.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that. Yeah. So that's obviously basically just like a trading journal, kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like a full like software and everything behind it, but it can be verified, so it's all public. So there's no hiding. You can just put you have your login, your detail, and you can share that around, and anybody can jump on and see how you're actually trading, which I think is probably pretty good. I think actually most, the furroos out there maybe should probably chuck their money where their mouth is and have a actual account that people can jump on and see how they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I used to use, what was that one? MyFX book.
Yeah.
That seemed like a little bit old school, so I got into like using TradeZella, which is awesome. Yeah. I like it because it has it tracks all your trades, and then you can go back and like replay it for like journaling and stuff, like you're saying, which is like a big thing as well for people that are getting into trading, because they don't realize the whole, as you're saying earlier, having the right mindset to go into trading for those sorts of days.
Yeah.
So for like people that I guess want to go down, like they've started trading, they're wanting to go down all of these different paths. We want to be going into the day with the right psychology, the right mindset. If they're having like a bad day externally to day trading, what would your advice be around that? Should you trade? Should you not trade?
Yeah, I think if you need to have a protocol in place for managing yourself. So if you are in a mindset that's not going to be great for trading, if you're feeling negative, if the day's just caught up with you, it happens, of course. But identifying that, the first step. And then for me, my go-to kind of snap myself back out of it was breath work, like a full breath work session. Hit yourself a cold shower, just jump in, freshen up, and then meditation. But that's definitely something that I would do, and I do that to start every day. Just really set the tone for the day. Really get clear on your why you're doing it. Go over your goals. I do it every morning. Really clearly define what I want, not out of just the day, but just in general, where are you moving to? Visualization was a big part of my journey for sure.
Oh, that's huge. I like that. Yeah, because it's a big misconception too that a lot of people coming into day trading think that every single session you have to be on, you have to be looking at the market 24/7. It's crazy, man. Is there a few misconceptions that you have?
Oh, I mean, that is for sure the biggest one. Less is 100% more. Like the less time you spend on the charts, you'll do better. You'll make more money in the long run. That's just that is 100%. I think though, I think that I'm very conservative. Like I like a stop loss. I like 1% max risk. Like I'm very longevity focused and future thinking focused, and like, am I investable as an asset? That was always my thing. It's like, how do I become the asset? If trading's a business and I want people to invest in me, then what does my business plan, so to speak, look like? And that means I can be disciplined and I can follow risk. I don't do all of the revenge trading, and your money feels safe if you invested it with me. That's the kind of professional trading I'm trying to replicate and teach others. And then the other side of it is, I suppose, probably more on the esoteric side, but it is all of those things that you don't think are important in terms of your psychology are the make or break. It's absolutely the make or break between it. The way you show up, the way you talk to yourself. I can tell with having a 5-minute chat on social media whether someone's going to make it or not. Just the way they speak is so telling. And if you're always talking in a sense that's, like, poor me, this happened to me, the market went against me, or this didn't go my way, they're always like the victim output is, no one cares. The market does not care about your emotions or your feelings at all. At all. So having the ability to kind of like, you have to come in, be willing to accept the loss and learn to love the loss, but also having that positive output. And that's quite hard. Like, I think there's a lot of aspects that if more traders got into, meditation, visualization, all of those kind of things, it really does help creating that optimistic flow. Yeah,
for sure. How did you build up your psychology to get to where you are now?
I read like every single book under the sun.
Right.
Yeah, like it with a book addiction, just so many personal development books, probably like to a point where it wasn't good. Like I was just like reading, getting the dopamine hit, and then not implementing anything. Right, yeah. But as soon as you start, you've read hundreds of these books, and practically the message is all the same. Yeah. So is it just a slightly different twist on the words? And it's all about. I talk about one book in particular that completely just changed my understanding of everything, called Reality Transurfing. Have you read it?
No.
This is it's like this Russian author, and it's kind of like Joe Dispenza, but on like another level. Like,
I like it already.
It's a massive book. It's huge, but it's so good. And there's in the first, maybe I think it's the first chapter, he talks about the wave of fortune. And I've been literally trying that to be my life since I read that book. And it talks about, if you can understand that the law of balance exists, that we always have two opposites. There's always a positive and negative, a fear and a greed. And understanding your job is to become the 50% equilibrium of the two pendulums swinging back and forth. And it happens everywhere, like everywhere. Trading, up, down, emotions, politics, everything is just one side or another. And if you can remain a middle observer, then you can flow through this wave of good fortune. And if you can maintain that kind of equilibrium, like not over celebrating when you get a big win and then not falling into deep depression when you lose, that's the key, I think, to trading well.
That's gratitude, right there.
Yeah.
That's the key right there. Grateful.
Oh, yeah.
Got to be grateful.
We could get into... because I've only been trading since the start of the year. So
he's had it easy.
Yeah, pretty lucky.
You learned from someone good though, right?
Yeah, so I just cut my learning.
Yeah. There you go.
But I'm like, it's super interesting hearing about how you guys started, because there was no prop firms, and that blows my mind. Like, I'm like, what? How does that work? Trade with other people's money, but it's invested capital. How do you see the financial industry developing in the future? Like, is there anything that you think that's, going to progress, or?
It's clear that prop firms will need to evolve. The major holes. It's just not sustainable, their model at the moment. I think it's a golden opportunity that should be utilised while they exist right now. And if you have a strategy that can work within the rules, then that's great. I'm very, very grateful for them. I think everyone should be, because you can maneuver your trading style in a way that plays within the rules. So I think you could leverage them right now, but eventually the model's going to have to evolve. It's just, you can't have I don't think you can have a substantial business banking on people's failure. Doesn't make sense to me in the long run.
That's true. Yeah. And they've already started to bring out like future prop firms.
Yeah.
It's a big thing now.
Yeah.
To, replace all the
which
ones in America.
They're a whole nother thing. Future prop firms.
What's your thoughts on future prop firms?
Good. I see it. I see how, I think it's a bit different to the Forex prop firms. You definitely want to be far more aggressive the way you trade it. Like you're not letting things around with those consistency rules. You're very, very aggressive. Yeah. So, but I think you could have both. I mean, if you trade indices, there's no reason why you can't trade both, and maybe at least be aware of how they both work in case something goes under. But my whole thing with prop is just you need to diversify. If you can find a prop that gives the refund on the fee, then you've got no risk on the table, so it does not matter. Try get, the payouts as quickly as possible. Don't try the ego play for the leaderboard. Don't worry about it. Just get your money, get your fee back, and then there's no risk. And then funnel as much of it into your other investments, into your personal account, and build your track record. Yeah.
Nice.
That's what these guys do. These guys trade future.
Yeah, I'm a futures trader.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I could learn a bit.
Very aggressive. It's interesting, having this whole chat, because you and I have very similar, I guess, journeys throughout the trading career, and it's not, I guess, a little bit similar for these guys that they really had the huge losses and things. Would you find that, because I don't really have a mentor, someone that I could go back to, and obviously with your students, are you finding that your students are getting a lot more success from having yourself to bounce questions off, to ask things that they don't, I used to go through doing stuff in my head. I'd be like, am I doing this right or not? And I wouldn't really know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the key thing of a community. Strategies are strategies. No one's reinventing the wheel. They all exist. There's free stuff online. I think the key to having a mentor is being able to ask all those questions. Because I remember I was part of communities where I learned these strategies, but no one taught me how to just set up my brokerage. No one taught me how to press buy on a brokerage platform. Just the most basic stuff. And that is quite overwhelming in the beginning. And I remember, especially back in the day, finding a brokerage for New Zealand people was hard. I think I had to go Saxo Bank and then get rid of my retail trading status and be a wholesale trader just to be able to trade. There was no alternative model. Crazy. So it was a full process, and no one could help me with that. And that stalled my journey, just trying to research that a lot. Yeah. So I think having the ability to be able to just ask questions like that is, that's what you pay for. That's what's going to speed up the process 100%, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not necessarily the education. The education is going to help, but you could get the education from anywhere.
Anyone, yeah.
And people can go through the education platform, and they do within a day.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it's what do they do now? It's not sustainable for them to go for all of that and not put in all of that experience that comes from trading. So with, I guess, all of that, for people that want to learn, beginners that are coming in, would you say that the key for them to be successful, because a lot from what I hear us talking about is you're a very conservative trader. You like to, take things very mainstream, trading plan, all of that. And that's something that, your, I guess, principles and stuff that you teach for all of these people. Yeah, for sure. It would be weird if I didn't teach the way I trade. That's it. I literally just, if I could go back and do my course back then, I try to think of it, how much time and money could I save? And then I think, okay, well, now people are getting a good deal. There's good value here. So, I set up to learn the fundamentals, a very simple strategy that's not overcomplicated. You can identify, you can get in. I'd say
probably 80% of the people in my community are brand new beginners, like never opened TradingView before at all, like complete newbies. And so how can I teach you an edge where you can get into the markets quite quickly? You don't have to spend forever learning all this stuff and forecasting and analysing. Just get in, get that experience and build up your, the reps in the market, which is what's going to make the difference. And then how do you actually turn it into a business? How do you set it up as a business? How do you scale your capital, like find investors? And then what do you do with the profits? There's a whole map and there's a whole journey that I think I just cover every single thing I've learned. It's kind of my thing. It's like, how can I make it easy for someone and cut the learning curve down?
Yeah, that's the big struggle, I think. Like a lot of people, if they're trying to learn without buying courses and stuff, because people don't want to invest, time into themselves, and they go to YouTube and they find all that other stuff that I think is rubbish. But like I feel like it's just marketing stuff, so that but it is to a degree.
Yeah, of course.
And like you get a lot of people that are come, and so I find that people. It's harder for people to unlearn stuff than just to start as a complete beginner. Yeah.
100%.
So do you get a lot of people coming in like that, or is it just...
No, I definitely do, especially when you're trying to mix strategies and indicators and all this together, and then you're coming in and I have a very simple, clean, like it's very minimal, and then someone's trying to find like an ICT bloody like turtle soup scenario, and I'm like, bro, we're not even in the same library at the moment. Like, get rid of all of that, just do this, and that'll be fine. But it's exciting. I get it. You want to test the waters. You want to go out there and try all these different things, and I think that the problem is trying to find that holy grail, because there is no holy grail, and every strategy works for someone. Like otherwise, you wouldn't put your name to it if it didn't. So I think the strategy hopping and the implementation of too many things all at once is the problem. And unlearning, is definitely a big one, especially if you've come from a bit of a maybe a dodgy beginning, where people are not maybe giving the best advice.
What are your thoughts about like all the forex gurus and all the scammers out there? Because it's huge in trading.
It's bad. As the biggest reason I didn't want to be anywhere near social media for a very long time. And even now, I still get people like, oh, you just sell a course. I'm like, oh, yeah. But it's I've been trading 8 years and I didn't make a peep on social media till this year, till 3 months ago. Like, because I think there needs to be a voice of reason when it comes to this industry, because it's getting everyone in, and there's a fine line, because you have to show the opportunity and the potential. You have to market your lifestyle a bit. Like, no one wants to learn from me if all I do is just sit in a little cave all day and do nothing. Like, you have to show the freedom, of course, but also, like, are you being educational at the same time? And if I see one more person on TikTok just dancing, being like, I'm a day trader, I made $10,000, I'm like, you didn't. It was not even a real trade. Stop it.
I hate that. I hate seeing stuff like that, man. It pisses me off.
Saying, it's passive income. It's like, what? Please.
Is it though?
You're killing me. I try not to get involved, though. I really do. I try to think of it, maybe it was that simple for that person. And maybe it is. They've cracked it. And maybe it is. I don't know. I don't live in their world.
I think we know.
I think we know, but I'm trying to, I don't want to, I don't know. Maybe it is that simple for them and they have some kind of secret sauce that I don't know, but it wasn't for me, so I can only share my experience. Oh, please don't, oh God, I've started something. Now I'm going to have all these people's cult, like, little followers.
No, it's so true though. Like, you see all of that, like, by these signals, people putting out, hiring a Lambo and then taking photos.
Hiring the Lambo, yeah.
It's crazy though, because like you get traders from overseas and stuff, and most of them are like America. Yeah. And like the traders that I've met so far, are like super genuine, but it's mostly people from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I don't know whether it's like as New Zealanders it's more genuine, or you. I guess raised a different way. I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, but have you like the guys up north that are trading? trading?
I don't know anyone.
So they're the same, like very genuine, you know, like you, very genuine. And I feel like it's a difference in culture for us to be, you know, doing this. I don't feel like we're, you know, much popular than a lot of the American people, but they're flashing all of this stuff, this and that. And not to say that, you know, they're not doing that, but all of the gurus and stuff, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that would work here.
Yeah.
I think if someone put a Lambo, and there is Kiwi with a Lambo who I'm thinking of, and I just think it just draws the wrong audience. Like, and if you just do not care and you just want the money grab, sure, you're not going to care. But if I have to come up and I'm putting my time and effort, showing up on lives, talking to these people in my community, I want to like them. I want to be on the same kind of value with them. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Because I actually spend a lot of time now. I'm quite invested in these people's lives.
Yeah.
And if we don't resonate on the same level, and that's what I say straight away when people come in. I'm like, if you want the Lambo, I'm not your person. We're not even aligned. But if you're not wanting to wake up to an alarm clock, wanting to spend more time with your family, and maybe go on some couple of bougie vacations, then I'm your girl. That's the difference.
I love that.
A lot of people do that too. Like now, being, I guess, where we are, I get to go on holidays and I get to spend my life the way that I want to spend my life. And like, I guess, because you put your life on social media, you know, being, I guess, content creators. Yeah. And I don't think people understand how much effort that we put in to get to this point. And so they're coming in with the expectation of having that within a couple of months. And that's just not, I guess, realistic for them. So I try and explain that a lot to people, that this is a long-term thing. Like, what would your advice be? Because it's hard to explain that, as I'm sure you would probably know.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's like just not in their mindset yet? Because I feel like going through the whole training thing, it's like technicals, psychology, all of that. But they have to go through all of that first phase to then understand the psychology behind it, which comes from experience in the market. Yeah,
I often get the comments of when they finally go live, now they're like, oh my God, I realised the psychology. Like, you know, I'm in a trade and I thought my house was on the line, and it's, you know, a small, you know, 1% on a $5,000 account. You know, it's not. But the adrenaline spikes and they suddenly realise, like, okay, maybe I need to actually look into that. I think you just go through, there is just the process that you go through, isn't it? Like, it's, you can't skip that process. Yeah. And I think when you're thinking in terms of longevity, I don't think it's initially bad to say that you have to have that long-term mindset. So I'm sure a lot of people, I mean, I started with a very short-term mindset. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have the Lambo in a month. Like, it's done. I handed my resignation. I didn't. But, like, you know, I was thinking already. And then only when you get into it, you're like, okay, it's actually a little bit harder than I thought. And then, like, you progress through the journey. But it only takes that one good day in the sea of bad days to give to the sparkle of opportunity, and you're like, right, I can see what it could be. And I think in the beginning it's like the longevity is just like what you have to go through. I'm quite lucky, and a lot of my audience are kind of older, so I don't actually end up getting too many young people, which I think they're the more you know, get rich quick mindset. But I find the people that I associate with and people that watch my content are 30s and over, and they have that a little bit more realistic expectation, which is good.
I think with our audience, it's sort of, you know, me being a male, very male dominated, and like the male mindset's always like, I want this now. And so it's very hard to explain to these people that it does take a while. But then you get, he started in like January. Yeah. And very successful now.
That's it. There are exceptions to the rule. Yeah, for sure.
So it's hard to, I guess, you know, on average, it's going to take you at least a year or two to get to the point where you can be leaving your job. But I go back to that same thing about being a doctor or a lawyer. You know, they're putting in 7 years of learning before actually being able to do the job that they're training to do.
Yeah.
So, as I guess people wanting to get into it, it's not something that we can, I guess, give them this education. It's more or less after this education they have to go through the whole experience as well that we went through, because it's just a part of that journey.
Yeah, but honestly, and I do say that, not to sound all doom and gloom all the time, because there are people who get in, obviously like yourself, and it clicks. And they don't have to spend maybe a lot of time, and they listen to their mentors, and they do the right things from the get-go. And that's just because those people have had other experiences in other industries or other life experiences where they've learned those lessons that I had to learn through trading. So the journey is quicker for them in that part, because they've already maybe tested out these things in other areas of their life. So it's not one size fits all. I'd just say in the general realm, it does take longer than you think, but it doesn't mean that you can't make it click sooner. I know a guy who I traded with back in the day, and he went from complete beginner to leaving his job in 142 days.
Nice. Yeah, so like within that 4 months, like all the hours that you put in.
Oh, I put in so many hours. Like I was doing Asian, London, New York.
Yeah.
The whole session.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah. So then you that could equate to years of you trading 1 hour a day, around your job and stuff. So it is how much time do you put in the beginning, for sure.
Yeah, that's so true.
But smart work, right? Like actually taking account of what you're doing and like reflecting on where you might have made mistakes. And I didn't do that. Like I say, I put in hours in the beginning, which I did, but it wasn't smart hours. It was like still not understanding what I was looking at completely, and just like I think it was egotistical about being a trader. I had my laptop and I was like, yeah, cool.
Look at me, look at tree charts.
Like in the office, what Chanelle's doing, I'm like, I'm trading. And then I was losing. So it's like,
don't look Chanelle.
Yeah. They're like, oh, what's that? I'm like, no, you wouldn't get it. Don't worry about it.
It's actually good if it's red.
Yeah. It's going up. Yeah. I think it's all about the kind of work you put in the beginning. It's going to make all the difference.
100%. That and finding, community or mentor, educator that vibes with you, that aligns with you. So
yeah, and you cracked it the first time, right? Like you found someone who aligns with you, who gives good information, who's a legit trader, legit person. Yeah. I'd say most people don't get that lucky with their first encounter.
Yeah.
So
pretty lucky.
Do you find that though, like being an educator, that you get like a little bit, I guess, what would you call it, like envious that your students' journey is like a lot shorter than yours?
Yeah, I have this person who's signed up and they've been in the community not even a month, brand new traders, already passed their first phase prop. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
And you don't want to be like, just be careful, just take it slow, because they're hyped and you want to celebrate with them, but it's also like you're just thinking from experience, you're like, just calm down. But I think it's I had good mentors and I still made the mistakes, so that's the tricky part for me. I had actual professional people who gave good advice. They definitely weren't some scammers. I think that I'm maybe not necessarily the best educator in terms of a business sense, because I get so emotionally invested in these people's lives to a point, like if they leave, I'm quite upset. I'm like, oh, damn, I thought we had something,
Get him done.
Yeah. I know it really ruins my mood for a few days. So I think it's like, you just really want these people to do it. And I think when they do well, is a way better feeling than you doing well. Yeah. Like, when these people are passing props now, it's like, I couldn't care less if I pass prop or like gain more capital, but them, that changes their whole life. And you had a direct impact on someone's entire future and their family's future and their children's future. And I think that's just, I can see now why people get into education.
Yeah. I was the same. Like, I didn't necessarily want to get into it, but getting to the point in my trading career where like everything was like this.
Yeah.
And like get a win, and it's sort of like,
yeah, it is like that. You're like, another day at the office.
Like it's just a job at this point. And then like seeing these guys' success and other people in the communities, their success, it's crazy to see because it's like, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done that before, like, well done.
Yeah. How do you respond to if you're such a good trader, why do you teach?
Like, I hate seeing like comments like that on social media because it's more or less like, do you want to learn or not?
Yeah.
You know?
Who else is going to teach you?
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't trade?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I kind of just ignore it.
Oh, you have to. You just have to. I just think it's funny. I mean, in the beginning, I went on full tirades, like, where I was having arguments. The people in my DMs, I was sending them, like, my broker statements, being like, no, I'm legit, look.
Yeah.
And eventually, you're just like, okay, all right, let's, yeah.
Got to that point, too, where I just started putting out all of my, like, profits and stuff, and then it's still like,
That's fake.
like, there's always excuses.
You can't win either way. Like, either way, you post your profits, they say you're flexing, you're a scammer, and it's not real. You don't post profits, and they say you're not a real trader. So it's just like, all you can do is try to give the best education and kind of like a mixed. I think it's a mixture of like education and inspiration, and that's all you can do.
I think it comes down to the person as well. Like, you can put your profits, you can put your trade zeller up and show people like your entire trading journal. You can post your students' success, and then they're still like, that's fake.
and those people are never going to make it, and they've already decided in their head that they can't do it, and then no one else can do it either because they can't do it, and it's self-defeating, which is sad because it's available for everyone. But you do have to have that kind of, I'd say, like delulu expectation that, you know, that when you get in this industry in the beginning, you have to be pretty delusional with yourself. Like thinking about what you can achieve. I have absolutely no rhyme or reason as to why I thought I could do what I could do. There's no track record. Like, I've got no uni degree. I've got no high school education. Like, well, a couple of years. And then, you know, thinking like, I'm going to be the first millionaire in my family. It's like pure delusion. There's nothing to back that up. And I think if you don't have that, then that you're not going to get through those really like tough times. Like, there's not a moment in my mind where I knew I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah. I think it's very personal too, because I'm the same. But to other people, it's very delusional. Would you say, like, when you were getting into it, you had, like, support from family and friends?
Yes. I would say I had a lot of support. I'd say my husband, my partner, I've been with him since we were 18, so we're long-term, 10 years, and I'm the kind of person who tried everything as well, not just trading. Like, I was in the drop shipping, I was in the e-com, affiliate marketing. I've done everything because I had a vision for my life, and I was like, I'm gonna crack it. And I did trading the longest and had that all going, and I always knew it. And I think that when you have that kind of infectious belief, the people around you either jump on board or they just fade away. And I had pretty good support from family. I mean, most of my family still have no idea what I do. Yeah. But I've been teaching. My mum is in my community and she trades. She's going prop.
Cool. Is she the one on the video?
No, that's his mum.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So he's
the whole family's trading.
I'm getting everyone in on it. Yeah. No, I'd say I've had pretty good support, to be honest.
Nice. That was a question we got asked. Well, I got asked when we did the last 2 podcasts ago. It was sort of just questions that people were asking. And I feel like in New Zealand, it's, that tall poppy syndrome. A lot of people don't want to see you succeed if they can't do it. So,
100%, yeah.
Yeah, it's rough because I didn't feel like I had a lot of people that were like, that's so weird, go ahead and do that. Whereas, like yourself had a lot of support. Ali had a lot of support. Yeah, it's different.
It's hard. I think people are very supportive, and then it highlights who your circle are, because they're supportive in the beginning when you're trying something new and you're failing.
Yeah.
And then you crack it, and then sometimes a lot of that support actually turns real nasty pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
And then so it's, that tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand is big, and it's a shame because I think every comparison to the States and a lot of people over there, I think we're actually creating like quite legitimate traders over here. Like the values are it's family, it's generational wealth, it's freedom. It's not the flashy clout chasing Lambo bros. Not to say if you want a Lambo, have a Lambo. I'm not a guy. I think people think I'm a Lambo hater. I'm not a Lambo hater at all. But it's just, I think it's a different kettle of fish. And it's a shame. I think if you can inspire the people, especially the young ones in high school, that there are alternate paths they could take. You don't have to do the uni.
Yeah.
You can try all this new stuff. I mean, we live in the age of the internet. Like, if you're struggling to make something work like that, there's a problem there that internally you're self-sabotaging because there's so much information out there. Yeah. Eventually, if you just stick at something, take massive action, don't quit, you will inevitably get it. It's the law of large numbers.
Yeah.
Do you have advice for anyone that's like stuck in a circle that's not supportive, or they're surrounded by people that like, why are you doing that? You're losing money.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have to ghost mode it, to be honest. I think the exchange of energy between people is going to be detrimental to your success or failure. So if you put yourself in an area where you're constantly having to explain yourself and getting questioned and only receiving negativity back, no matter how strong you are mentally, it has an effect on you subconsciously. So you probably need to remove yourself and then also understand it from their point of view. They're most likely doing it to protect you in a way. They don't understand. They probably have some kind of experience in their life where someone in their family has been on the stock market and, Uncle Jim at the barbecue lost his whole fortune, and they're just coming up from a place of fear and projecting that upon you. And oftentimes they don't mean to do that, but they're not in a place where they can actually see the vision, and so you can't expect them to understand. You can't expect them to see what you see in your mind. So it's best to just remove yourself and then show up, when you've done it. Good, crack on, go away, show up and, come out again and say, look, this is what I've achieved. Have the proof.
Nice.
Great advice.
Yeah, that's solid advice. Can we get into like your lifestyle at the moment? Like, you're a successful trader. Yeah. You're living down here in Wanaka. Beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
What's a typical day look like for you?
Oh, well, every day is different because I have a 10-month-old baby. So
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yes, I do love her a lot. I'd say we wake around 7, and then I usually jump on the community, have a little check, put out any fires of anything urgent, and then spend most of the day with her, just playgroups, swimming, just walking around town, love a brunch, that kind of thing. And then for me, Asia starts 12 p.m. now, so set my alerts and then don't look at the charts until my alert's set, crosses over my areas, take trades if they present themselves. If they don't, cool, go on with my day. I think I'm very, very grateful. We live a lovely, lovely life. My preference, I want to invoke a full bank account, empty calendar lifestyle. So I don't want anything to do if I can avoid it. I don't want anything in my calendar. I want to be able to meander around, my beautiful Wanaka and just meander around the lake and kind of just take in with my baby and my family. And because that's what I did it for. Obviously now I've got more on my plate with the community, which will probably shoot myself in the foot a little bit there. But I think the one thing I spent money on, what we spent money on, was a beautiful place to live with a beautiful view, because I am of the experience that awe gives a very strong energetic level, much like gratitude. And if you can open your blinds and I see mountains every morning, I feel small. My problems feel small. I feel like there's just an energy around these places, and it's expensive to live here, but I think it's worth every penny, because you have that feeling that your problems don't matter. So you just, you rock around with your day, and it's a beautiful life. It really is. And I think that's what I'm here for. I'm not flashy. Like, we do a little bit of travelling, but I'm a creature of habit. Like, I like my pillow and my bed, and I'm very set in my ways. If I can have, multiple coffees and a brunch, I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think that like trading can give you that lifestyle as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realise. They think, it's all flashy and stuff like that. So it's beautiful to be able have that lifestyle that you guys have down here. It's amazing. And that's the same thing, like, as you're saying, you can open your blinds and like it's amazing views, things like that. It's something that where I'm living at the moment in the town, like it's the township, so you don't really get all of that stuff, which is why I guess I travel a lot to Australia and go to the GC.
Yeah.
Because staying in those apartments, it's like, you know, you wake up, it's the beach.
Yeah.
It's
Same
everything.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it does, you know, play a huge role in what your mindset is going into the day. Going back just a little bit, and you know, going through your day, going into Asian session, are you setting up like your charts before open or?
Yeah. So for the JP.5, I take trades pre-hour, 1 hour pre. So 11 a.m. At 10:45, I open my charts, slap on my alerts. It takes me 5 minutes, and then I'm done. So I'm either like, it reaches an area where I'm in a trade or I'm not in a trade. So I don't watch the charts unless I get the ping. Trading View says, "Yep, here we are." Yeah. Next candle print. So then it's another 15 minutes during Asia, and a pending order. So then I'm triggered in on it's a win or it's a loss. It's very.
I love that mindset.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Like just very mechanical.
It's as mechanical as it gets. Yeah. I found was the only way I could really rely on my data was to make it as mechanical as possible.
Yeah. I'm very much the same, like the whole data thing going. Do you use FX Replay?
Oh, I tinkered, yeah.
So that was like a huge thing for me, like when I was back testing and stuff, trying to get it very mechanical, because going into it first, I was like very emotional. So I love that. It's funny, like hearing everything that you say, it's like exactly, I can't believe it. But yeah, I mean, like with our audience, you know, you have a very specific audience, but I feel like a lot of the New Zealand community is very much the same. Like, is there anything you want to chat about that you think would be valuable for them?
I'd say you need to be not afraid of taking risks. That saying, like, take the risk or lose the chance is an incredibly, like, driving force behind, like, my motto and the way I live. Especially if you've got time on your hands. You can make mistakes, it's okay. I think we're stuck in this, in New Zealand especially, we're stuck in this like cycle of, you know, your schooling system, you get your job, you go to work, your corporate, you buy your house, you get married, you have your kid, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. And I think that there are so many other avenues out there to go and to follow. And it's just the most rewarding outcome in the end, but you don't want to go against the grain. You don't want to be the one person in your friend group that has to stay home from the Friday night parties because you're on the charts or you're putting in work. And that I personally sacrificed, I'm 28 and I sacrificed pretty much my whole 20s to get to where I am. So I didn't party, we didn't do an OE, we didn't do anything like that. It was very, I will make this work. I stake my life on it. Like, it's that kind of energy, like I have to make this work. And I think that you can dream as big as you want. Like, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The only limit you're actually placing is on yourself. Like, there's nothing stopping you from going out and making as much money as you want, as finding a way to make money from anywhere in the world. And it seems scary and it seems like it's not real, but there are people doing it. Like, everyone in this room is doing it successfully. Like, there's, you know, we're all doing it to a degree because we're all delusional enough to think at one point that, for one, I deserve better for my life. I don't want to follow the status quo. If you're looking around and the circle that you are around are just content, they're just surviving, they're not thriving, then ask yourself, like, is that what you want for your life? Is that where you want to end up? Like, are you happy? You happy with the people ahead of you? Happy with your parents' life? Like, that for me was a scary thought. I thought, no, not me. And then you kind of just go, you need to just start the journey and see where it takes you. And there's so many opportunities, and I think it's just about, I think I heavily believe in the divine intervention of life. Like, opportunity will present itself at the right time, and you need to jump 2 feet in and just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, like, wow. Well, the end result for anything with fear is death. It's a fear of death in the end. So if you can just work through all of that, all the fears, all the self-doubts, the feeling stupid in front of your friends, you know what it is now is that all my friends are incredibly envious of my lifestyle and everything I work. And so it's, you know, And then the long run, I won. And
Yes.
it's about understanding that we have this whole entire ecosystem too online. You can find like-minded individuals. If they don't live in your town, if they don't live around you, there's an amazing group of people online who have the same vision as you. And eventually, after 8 years, you'll meet some of them in person. So that's pretty cool. But it's a fantastic space of your life. I think make the most of the internet, right? Like make the most of all of these opportunities. Don't be afraid of them. Stop trying to look for the negative and the doubt and the it's got to be a scam. The kind of like I gotcha, and just put yourself out there and evolve and get better. Like with anything, it's just we're here for a journey of self-development and personal growth. That's what it is. And if you just keep going at it for years and years with that kind of optimistic mindset, something will happen for you. Like it's actually impossible that if you just don't quit, it will happen for you. It's just inevitable.
That's so true. That's so crazy. Like I hear that and I'm just like, yes.
Everything about that, eh? I just got the shivers. I was like, whoa.
Oh, wow.
So true. I love that because that's like the same sort of mindset that I've had this entire time, starting from when I was 20 in real estate, getting to this point, you had to have that delusion, you're saying. It's crazy. I've never thought of it like that, being like delusional about the whole process, more or less like, I guess, being worthy to like try and get there or, something like that. But it is delusion.
It is. It's full-blown delusion.
Yeah.
100%.
If you say to yourself, I'm going to be a millionaire by 30, that was always my goal.
Yeah.
Didn't happen until just recently. I've only just turned 30 in February.
Congrats.
But there was a whole 10 years of trying to get to that point, trying things. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I will be a millionaire and you've got $3 in your bank account. You're like, that's full-blown delusion.
You're in debt with credit cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's like negative. You're like, oh, well. But, it does catch up. And I think the greatest minds, the people the most successful in this whole world say the exact same thing. Everything happens in your mind before it happens in reality. Yeah. If every single successful person has that mindset, then maybe it's true. So you need to be really aware of what you're thinking, your thought process all the time, how you're speaking to yourself, how you're speaking about others, and putting out the right kind of energy because it absolutely transforms your entire life if you can crack it.
Yeah, 100%. That's probably one of the most valuable things I ever learned was if you take on the mindset of someone that is successful already and you're doing the exact same things, why would they keep being successful and you wouldn't?
Exactly. You just reverse engineer it. Find the person that you look up to, that you want that life or aspects of that life, and reverse engineer what do they do. Go backwards. What are the steps that they took? What are the books they're reading? What are the podcasts they're listening to? How are they spending their time? What is their circle of friends like? And follow as to your best ability. And you end up in the same result. Most people aren't. I mean, I'm talking Elon Musk's probably in a different league, but most of these successful people I'm thinking of, they're all just regular people who just didn't quit. And I think anyone can achieve it.
100%.
Yeah. Hashtag Delulu mindset.
I don't know. I've never I hear that word a lot when you're talking about negative stuff. You're delusional or some stuff like that. But I've never really thought as myself of being delusional. But then at the same time, I'm I want to be a billionaire by 40.
That's it. Right? But
very delusional.
If you went back to your high school reunion right now and you explained your life to all of the people who just live Stockton life, they're thinking you're delusional. Yeah. So you say I'm going to be a billionaire in the next decade. They're like, this guy's out of his mind, delusional. Yeah. But you're going to achieve it. Yeah. So it's just the timing to catch up, and I think that's the key thing. So I have a very clear plan of how I would like my life to unfold, very clear, and I know it's just a matter of time, following the step-by-step process, and eventually that outcome will present itself. Yeah.
So in your whole growth process, mindset was a huge key over your 8 years of success.
I think it's everything. Yeah. There's always the debate of how important psychology in trading, but it's everything. It really is. The strategy in and of itself, technically reading the charts, takes a little bit to get used to, but let's think about it. It's up or down. It's 50-50. It's not, honestly, I could get my baby to decide the direction for the day and I'd probably be right, over the long term, just by doing something silly like that. And it's the only thing that matters is that your ability to control your emotions understand where you're bringing in those self-sabotaging tendencies, and then have a game plan in place. Like, do you actually have a protocol if you are starting to go down that rabbit hole? You know, like, what are you actually doing? You're just like, well, I'm on tilt now, whatever. I'm just going to risk my whole account. It's fine. Like, you have to have some kind of, like, mechanism to stop yourself, because we all have them in some way, shape or form. And just, you need to be aware of that. But I think the mindset is everything. But it's not even just trading, is it? Like, it just feeds into every single area of your life, your health, your relationships, business, everything. It's everything, yeah.
I find that too. Like, you look at successful people, and they're not just successful at one thing in their life.
No.
They're successful at everything they try and do.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's crazy because you find people like that resonate on that level, and then you feel like you've known them forever.
Yeah, because you speak the same language.
Yeah.
And when most people don't speak that language, it's like, oh my God, kindred spirits. Like, okay, I'm not actually that crazy. Like, there's someone else kind of vibing what I'm saying down. Like, there's for a lot of people, they have the dreams, they have these ideas. A lot of people, would love to be a billionaire, but there's not many people who would actually feel confident enough to say that out loud. That's like, internally they'd be like, yeah, I would love a billy, but they're not sitting on a podcast being like, I'll be a billionaire by 40.
I also don't think they realise that everyone that has achieved that level was normal. Like,
Exactly.
everyone was born the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, maybe not trust fund babies, but
Maybe not, but yeah.
everyone had to start somewhere. So
Yeah.
mindset is massive. It's a massive thing. I like that. Going in, because people can go through like technicals, and it's, hindsight is amazing when it comes
We're
to
all
trading.
great
right?
hindsight traders.
Yeah. And like, you can learn a strategy, and then, you go back to the market and you're like, I seen that, I should have taken that.
Oh, yeah.
But then in the moment,
Yeah.
it's like, do I take this? Do I not? Blah, blah, blah. I think that's the key of keeping everything as mechanical as possible, keeping everything statistics-based, analytics-based, to be a profitable trader and be a consistent trader. Is there like a process that you would have?
Yeah, I recommend everyone needs to do, at a very minimum, 6 months worth of data on one thing indice on your session or however you trade, collating all the results, and then you go back and finding the 1% tweaks that you can make to that strategy. Like, I'm very, very mechanical. I'm either in a trade or I'm not. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it's either there or it's not, and I'm either closing it out at this point or this point or this point, or I lose. Like, it's just very, very plain and simple. But that's taken many, 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 many hours to fine-tune something that I know works 60% of the time.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. And it really is just putting in the work, like sitting down and staring at this historical data over and over and over again. And then when you're feeling, because I get it, it's very easy to, you have the strategy, the results are there, but you're failing to execute it in the live markets. You realizing that it's just you're the only problem. And every time you're starting to like revenge trade, or you're starting to do things that don't fit your plan, go back test again. Remind yourself that the data's there and the plan works, and that all you need to do is show up and execute. And I say all you need, obviously that's the hardest part, but it's that having more data and being super honed in on a very mechanical approach, A, B, C, trade.
Yes.
That's all you need. It's just keep it simple. Like, I really think this industry's gotten so convoluted. 17 different names for the same thing. Like, it's just, come on, keep it simple, man.
Yeah, crazy. Would you say for like beginners, trying to get all of that data, and do they have to go through live markets to do that, or?
I don't recommend sticking on like paper trading too long. I'd say my ethos is do the back testing, so you understand what you're looking at, like understanding the strategy. And then I recommend people get like a low tier 5K prop account. It's like $30. So you have access to, live market conditions, because, the spreads and the slippages and all that kind of thing. That's actually what, you need practice trading. That's going to make a big difference. And putting $30 on the line, but the number's a bit higher, like the 5K, it makes you have a little bit more emotion in terms of the fear and the greed. I don't really see the value in paper trading for too long, because you're not going to feel anything. Like, it doesn't matter.
Like, as a a seasoned trader, as a seasoned trader, like with your psychology being where it's at, do you find getting analysis from others or like others having opinions on the charts, does that throw you off at all?
No, I don't really look into it, to be honest, at all. Like it's so funny because you'll have the way you see the market and I'm going long, and then you might look at it and be going short. So it's like completely subjective based on your strategy. Like, are you entering it? What point are you entering at? How much of the move are you trying to get? Like, I don't care at all what we're doing on a high time frame. I couldn't care less. If we're bullish, bearish, doesn't matter. I don't follow the trend whatsoever. I'm looking for intraday movements where I know price has a higher than 50% chance of doing something, and that's it. It's just a pattern that plays out, and I think that anyone else's analysis is also correct for them. So I don't pay into. I don't know their data. I haven't done tested their strategy. So yeah, no, I don't care.
Yeah, that's a good one because like I used to trade with a lot of people and would have different opinions because everyone traded different. Everyone wanted to be correct.
Yeah.
And I found like doing the education, because you're teaching your strategy.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier with the community, like these guys trading with these guys. It's very simple. Like he'll be watching NAS, gold, US 30.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, bro, getting into this.
Yeah.
And you can trust it. Do you find like when you're teaching, that's something that you, I guess, like your students helping you, or not helping you, but getting involved in that?
I noticed that we're like a lot now, especially the ones who are putting in the work. They're taking the exact same trades as I am. Sometimes better, to be honest, just trailing longer and like better outcomes, which is great. And usually like I've quite a good forum of if I will review every single trade I took at the end of the week, and then if yours differed, you can send it to me and I'll tell you where I think you went wrong or why it went wrong. I mean, I have a pretty, like not a set list of things to trade, but I say this is what I trade. But feel free to just dive in and test your own things, like if not your own things, but like your own peers and stuff. And if you find something that works better, go for it. And then if you're having problems, you're not quite sure if it was a good entry, send it to me and I'll review and have a look. And I can tell within 2 seconds if it was a valid entry or not. Like it's either valid or it's invalid. So it's very simple.
I feel like the whole ignorance is bliss is amazing for beginners too.
Oh, it is, yeah, 100%.
Because they don't like overanalyze. Like for me, it's sort of like, beginners can come in like into like one point and just understand, like like you're saying with your baby, she could know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
And with like myself, I like to analyze everything that's going to happen and try and anticipate where the market's going to go.
Yeah.
And I feel like with me, or like going back to then, it's a lot easier to be trading that way.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get back to that place, like mechanically. Knowing like just one strategy, would you, like being where you are now, I guess, want to know everything else or no?
I think maybe going through the learning process and understanding how retail traders and trade, like the different ways people look at the markets, can make sense. But I'm just very aware that this industry gets very confusing very quickly. And I don't care what you call yourself, all we do is trade patterns. Like it is actually, that's what it is. And that riles people up, I know, because, you just might have a more complicated pattern than I do, but a few more steps. But you are watching price unfold, and when it unfolds in a certain way, giving you a pattern that repeats itself, you take the trade, and that's just what it is. And it can be very, very simple. And there's this like fantastic story of a guy in the 1980s who saw this pattern on a game show of how there was like a flashing game show where they would flash different tiles and you had to stop it and to land on the money. And he was watching the TV one day and he just noticed this pattern. He figured it out that it worked in patterns and no one else had ever seen it before. So he went on the show and like racked up like 500K, and they were fuming because they're like, how? That's the most anyone had ever done, because he understood that it worked in a pattern. And I find that super interesting because it wasn't obvious to anyone else. Anyone else who watched that TV show and went in the game show never figured it out. And he wasn't even looking for the pattern, but it was just so obvious in his face that he went on and he smashed it. And I feel like that's the same with me. I was trying for so long to be like, it's too easy. Nah, there's got to be more steps. It can't be this easy. I've done all of this stuff. I've traded all these different ways with all these different strategies. How is this the thing that's going to, consistently bring me money? And sure enough, as soon as I took away all of the extra steps, the pattern was right there, seeing in the face, and I was just trying to overcomplicate it. So now I think it's just really just stick to it, have the data to back up the results, and then notice that you just need to increase your capital over time, and you make a ridiculous amount of money.
That's all it really is, is like once you have the strategy and you know what you want to do in the market, the only problem you have is capital.
Yeah, and we've never been in an age where it's more easily accessible.
Yeah, prop firms, man.
So, like prop firms, chuck yourself on a Darnex, get that going in the background for your investor capital. Honestly, this is what I say all the time, only focus on becoming the asset, because as soon as you've cracked trading, people will line up to give you money. Like, it's just like you have to bat them away. Every man and his dog wants you to trade their money for them. So it's not, you don't even have to worry about the money, because the money comes as soon as you have the skill set.
Yeah. Even brokers, like, it's crazy that affiliate stuff they want to give you.
Oh, man, I know, right? Jeez, they come out with some dodgy stuff, and you're like, I don't know about that. Yeah, they want to pay. They want to pay anyone who will get them through the door. So I wouldn't worry about it. Just become the asset, man.
That's it. That's what you want to do in trading. So this is just something that we ask everyone. Okay. We've asked, us that have been on, but being a beginner trader, or knowing where you are now for beginner traders, if you had $1,000, how would you spend that to, I guess, become a profitable, educated trader?
$1,000. I would spend most of it on education, which is obviously going to be my answer, isn't it? Like, that was just, I really wanted to give another one, but it is what it is. If you want, if you want to shorten the learning process, you need to pay for someone else's knowledge, and someone else's knowledge that's taken them years of blood, sweat, and a lot of tears to gain. There's a price tag on it. It's not going to be free. So I'd put your money where your mouth is, bet on yourself, invest in yourself as the asset first, because, like I said, as soon as you have the track record, the capital will take care of itself. So putting the money in, becoming the asset first, learning the skill, and having a head start. If you don't care how long it takes and you're quite happy to spend, years and thousands of dollars, then crack on, do it yourself. There's so much free information out there. But if you don't like your job, you don't like where you are right now, and you want to create a future for your family in your life that is a magical existence, you're not stressed all the time, you're not worried about what's going to happen in the market, you don't care that the cost of living is going up, then you need to invest to learn, and you need to invest in yourself and get that education. I'd put it all into learning.
That's crazy. Like, every single answer that we've had is the exact same.
Yeah.
And that's coming from, educated, profitable traders.
Yeah.
So, if you want to be successful, then you've got to put it all into education, which a lot of people, I think, try and put that money first into a trading account and make it after like 2 weeks. Something I did, but
it's just not going to be long. In the long run, it's not going to work out.
It's not.
But, okay, question back. As yourself, now a profitable trader, do you spend money on self-development in other areas of your life?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just like, obviously trading, I have my strategy. I'm just back testing pretty much now.
Yeah.
But I spend so much money on mindset, on different, even personal trainers, even nutritionists. Yeah. If you don't have the right health or the right mindset and stuff, it's not going to work out good for you.
Yeah, so you understand the value of putting your money in a professional's hand. They're the professional in the health space. They know what to do in the gym. They know how to make your meal plan. Yeah. You want the shortcut to that process. Yeah, investing in yourself. It never stops. That's the thing. You develop in one area, and then you're doing, these crazy masterminds with all these other people, and it just goes from there. It's cool. It's a cool process.
That was awesome. Thank you, Chanelle, for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was great to hear, your story from the very beginning, and nice to know, sharing the journey with us to where you got to now. How do people reach out, get to know who you are? Is there any social platforms that you're on?
Yeah, TikTok mostly. Chanelle, I don't even know it. Chanelle HN. Yeah, that's me. TikTok, Instagram. I'm not big on Twitter, but I do love a good ramble on Twitter. So it's just a matter of time. Yeah.
But we'll leave your links all in the description below.
Super grateful to have you on the podcast and getting to meet you. It feels like, honestly, we've known each other for ages.
Yeah.
Just being able to talk and like have that same, I guess, conversation that we can have and we don't usually get to have with other people that aren't in this space. So
Yeah, that's super
Thank you
cool.
very
No,
much.
thanks for having me. I'm always a kindred spirit with someone wearing a Van Cleef as well. So.
yeah, I love my jewelry. Yes. So yeah, thank you very much. We will be coming with other podcasts. So let's go.
Tell me what you want.
What you really